Are we? Yes. All right, here we are, live again. So we're here with Chris, the one, the only one, who's been working on reparation from day one, fighting and everything. Just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So Chris Lodgson, originally from New York City. Shout out to my East Coast family. Been here in California for almost 10 years now. Almost 10 years. And I am the lead organizer with CJEC, the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California.
Yes.
And we work on and for reparations here in the state of California. And we've been very much involved in what the state has been doing for state level reparations. And we're also supporting some of our local community groups
Yes.
who are working on reparations in their cities and their counties across California. And that's part of why we're here today.
Yes, this is Zion Tedessa. We're here at Zion Utopia podcast.
You know?
So what we here is really trying to educate people when it comes to what we're doing
Right.
For what the mayor's office initiated.
Right.
So if you can just explain a little bit, better what really that
Yeah.
initiation is.
Yeah, so I want to say it was 2020, late 2022, but into 2023, really. Folks from the mayor's office, specifically people who are working in the mayor's office, the mayor's racial equity office, and the mayor's racial equity advisor, Kelly Fong Rivas, had in 2023, Kelly and folks from the mayor's office reached out to myself and others to start conversations and discussions about whether or not and what Sacramento could or should do about reparations. And
Yes.
this was again 2023, and toward the middle and late 2023, folks from the mayor's office started to reach out to other community organizations to have some roundtable discussions
Yes.
about whether or not Sacramento should do its own city level reparations commission and city level reparations task force, like San Francisco did, like LA did, like other cities in California did. And so there were some roundtable discussions with a bunch of community organizations and leaders in 2023. And those conversations were very productive. They're very, very fruitful. But one of the things that came out of those conversations was the need to get more people's thoughts and ideas. So
Yeah.
people were saying in those roundtable discussions that, hey, we're community groups, we're community leaders, but we want the rest of the Sacramento community to share their thoughts and share their ideas about whether Sacramento should pursue reparations at the local level. And so that's part of how this latest effort
Yes.
started, which is we're just starting now in 2024, which is an effort to survey and to get public and community feedback and input about whether Sacramento should pursue reparations at the local level. And so myself, yourself, and a bunch of other amazing community orgs are out in the communities right now and online also, like we are right now,
Yes.
helping to share a survey
Yes.
that we're asking every single one of you right now who's watching and listening to fill out.
Yes.
You can take the survey at www.sacrepsurvey.com,
Mm-hmm.
www.sacrepsurvey.com.
Yes.
And this is your way to share your thoughts and your ideas about reparations in Sacramento. It takes 5 minutes or less to take
Yeah.
the survey, and we really
Like
need,
2 minutes.
yeah, 2, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're being really thoughtful, 5 minutes max.
Mm-hmm.
But we want people here listening and watching to take this survey and to share thoughts and share their ideas about what and whether and how Sacramento should pursue reparations.
Yes. And then the other thing I think a lot of people are confused is when we say program. They're used to programs,
Hmm.
that, really didn't help. I mean, it tried, but really didn't help the
Right.
community. So when we're talking about program, a
Yeah.
lot of our communities like, no, what program?
Yeah.
What is this program? you know.
Right.
So if you can explain
Sure.
that, would be great.
Yeah. So one thing that's important for people to know is that right now, what the city of Sacramento, specifically the mayor's office, and we do have to be clear, this is an initiative and effort coming out of the mayor's office in collaboration with community organizations. So specifically, what the mayor's office and what organizations are asking Sacramento residents to share their thoughts about is whether or not Sacramento should create a reparations commission or task force.
Yes.
That task force would most likely then help develop reparations proposals and ideas.
Yes.
Some of those proposals and ideas could include programs, or they could include other things too. But right now, we are way before the program or the what the reparations would be question.
Yes.
We're really right now focused on whether or not we should even pursue this, whether or not we should even go forward to create a city level reparations body of some kind, commission, task force, etc. So that's the first thing for folks to know, that this is right now really about whether or not we should even take this step forward. In the survey, though, at sacrepsurvey.com, there are questions about what and how you, as somebody in the community, you define reparations. So we are also interested in what you think reparations means.
Yes,
I'm very, very interested in that. But right now, we are not at the point where we're designing any programs yet or designing any reparations yet. Right now, we're just at the point of, do we even go this direction?
Yes. Even if we do so, what do you think in your own, understanding?
Sure.
What you've been working hard for to get to this point, at least at the city level. So when they say program, how do we make the community understand what that is?
So, and so I think I think how we do that is to help educate folks about what we mean by the word programs and maybe use some examples. So I think most of us are probably familiar with different types of city level government programs.
Yes.
But when we're talking about programs, and again, we're not there yet, but when we're talking about programs, these could be programs that provide direct compensation to eligible Sacramentans.
Yes.
These could be programs that create other kinds of benefits specifically for Sacramentans. This could be programs that create different kinds of initiatives specifically for eligible people in Sacramento. So when we say the word programs, we're really talking very loosely and very broadly about a bunch of different things that could be ultimately in a reparations plan or proposals. But let me just say this too. I've said the word reparations probably about 20 times now. We're going to say it probably another 50 times. Just to be clear, when I'm saying the word reparations, I'm using a specific understanding of it. And I'm using the understanding that the state reparations task force adopted and used in its work. And in that work, at the state level, so not the city level, but the state level, the state reparations task force defined reparations as 5 things, 5 pieces. So you need 5 pieces or 5 things to call something reparations. The first is compensation.
Yes.
That's the most easily understood part. That's the direct monetary payments.
The second,
what is owed and long overdue. The second piece is what we call restitution. This could be the return of land, the return of property. The third piece is what we call rehabilitation. This could be things like free social services, free medical services, free legal services, free education.
Yes.
The fourth thing that we have as a fourth piece is what we call. Got you.
Sorry.
No worries. The fourth piece is what we call guarantees of non-repetition.
Yes.
And these could be things like changes to our systems, changes to our laws, changes to our policies, so that what happened never happens again.
Yeah, that policy change
is very, very, very important. It's not enough on its own, but it's definitely very important.
Yes.
And then the fifth piece is what we call satisfaction. And these are things like a formal public apology by our city, acknowledging and admitting to the harm that it did. And I think this is particularly important now as we learn more about Sacramento's history with slavery and the things that came after slavery. But as we learn more, we are finding out that Sacramento allowed slavery. The city of Sacramento, the county of Sacramento, allowed slavery within its borders. And there's a bunch of really new and really interesting research showing that now. I think you got the same email that I did from folks in the mayor's office with some research documenting the attempts to sell enslaved people as late as 1864,
Yeah.
which is almost a year after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So there's slavery still going on in Sacramento after Abraham Lincoln so-called freed us.
Yeah.
So what we call satisfaction includes things like our city acknowledging, admitting that it did wrong, changing our textbooks to make sure that what actually happened is told in the textbooks and the actual history is told, and then replacing the visual public displays of the bad things and replacing that with what we like in our culture and in our heritage.
Yeah. I think also this program would help really a specific solution
Right?
for the specific the African American community that most people don't understand.
I like that word. I love that word. I would actually replace the word program with solutions.
Yes.
Because that's actually what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
I think you're absolutely right there. We're talking about solutions and solutions that actually work.
Yes, yes. And that you can put it as a program so it can be implemented to generation.
Right.
So for me, let's say when they say program, because it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
It is solution. But how do we put that solution into action?
To practice, right?
Yeah.
And that's what programs are designed to do. Actually.
Yes.
That's kind of how you define a program. It's taking action. It's a system set up to take to implement a solution, to put the solution into action.
And that this opportunity that is present to us as a city community members, for everybody has to come together and find that solution.
Right.
And instead of who's going to find that solution, me and you in the community, right. Everybody coming together. So how do we unite our community, which has been by design divided?
Yeah.
So until we bring our community together and say, okay, this is the solution, this is the program, we suggest here is what we.
I love the question. I think one of the ways, and I'm going to give my own opinion here, but I think one of the ways is by Sacramento actually creating a reparations commission.
Yes.
I think that is one of the ways to help bring folks in Sacramento together. And I'm speaking from some experience here because we saw this happen at the state level.
Yes.
So let me give folks a little bit of background here. So in 2020, the state of California created a state reparations task force.
Yes.
And that state reparations task force held public hearings for about 2 years, about two years. So from 2021, let's say to the middle of 2023. And that state task force studied reparations and then developed some reparations proposals and plans and suggestions and recommendations for what kinds of things the state should do.
Yes.
Now, our organization, we helped write the law that created the State Reparations Task Force in 2019 to 2020. And then we worked with the State Reparations Task Force to do its work. As a part of that process, we saw there are hundreds of community organizations that came together to support the task force's work. And you don't have to take my word for it.
Yes.
You can go online right now, go to www.supportreparations.org.
Yes.
Supportreparations.org. There is a running list of over 500 state organizations who signed a list and signed a letter and said, my organization supports reparations in California. My organization supports the California reparations. I mean, it's now, and you can still add your organization's name to that list right now. There's all kinds of ways to still support that effort. So if that can happen at the state level, 500,
that's important.
500 organizations across the state, that's a huge number of organizations coming together and saying, I support this. Imagine what we could do here in Sacramento. Yes. So that's one way to bring this together.
Yes, absolutely. I think like you were saying, everybody needs to go and read that because that was a lot of information. If you really want to educate yourself when it comes to reparation, they really did a good job on really studying it and supporting it too.
Yeah.
So imagine if we do that in Sacramento, bring the community leaders in the other business community to support it.
Right.
And then once we support that, that's really supporting African American community is really supporting Sacramento community.
Absolutely.
This is our community. We are together, a community.
Absolutely.
African American community thrive. Everybody thrives.
Everybody. We saw. So I'm just using the state example as a model of what we could do here. On that list of over 500 organizations, there's Black organizations, there's white organizations, there's Latino organizations, there's AAPI organizations, there's indigenous groups, there's businesses, there's nonprofits, there's individual people. It really is a beautiful thing to see. I've never seen anything like it. And so, again, that's an example of how something like this kind of effort can bring folks together. Let's keep in mind, too, that because we're talking about reparations, we're talking about also things that happened in our people's history that's going to bring up some stuff, too. And so we definitely want to keep that in mind also. And it's important to know, like we were just saying, that this really is a potential way and opportunity for different organizations to come together. And we're already seeing it happen, though, by the way. So even in just this early first few months of us working on getting public input for the survey, by the way, sacrepsurvey.com, even in this first few months, we've seen organizations coming together right now. So it's already starting. But just imagine what we could do if we saw, an actual commission.
And we want, like you were saying, not just the Black community or the African American community. Every community needs to come together to support that.
Yes.
Like we have to support the Asians head bill.
Right.
I mean, a lot of Black organizations, Black communities supported that head bill.
Right.
So every other community as well need to be, instead of like being in denial and say, what is it? They can educate themselves and say, we want to support them. So they say, like I was saying, for me, everything is about, because I'm a business person, so I say everything in business. Where are we in business as a community? So the type of program would help for my community, Black community, African American community, is a business workshop. Like, how do we get into, it took me, like I went to college, but I didn't go to do business studies, which I should have. So now I know, I wish I can have a business workshop to teach the entrepreneurs, how to get their business plan ready, how to get their marketing ready, how to get their bookkeeping, how to get even fund, but sometimes it's so hard to get that fund.
And so thank you for focusing on the business, because that's a very important place in my heart too. I know it's a very important place in your heart. By the way, shout out to Queen Sheba Restaurant. What's the name of this?
Sheba's Cafe.
Sheba's Cafe. And of course, I got to shout out Sac Black Biz too. Follow us at Sac Black Biz on IG. Also follow us at CJEC Official, also on IG right now too. At CJEC Official. Go follow us right now. But I want to talk about the business piece, because I think that's important. So when the State Reparations Task Force issued and finished their work and put out a report, and you were talking about reading that report, which, by the way, is about 1,100 pages long. Our team is reading a part of a chapter, like every week, online, live, on YouTube, every Thursday at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel at CJEC Official. So if you don't have time to read 1,000 pages, we're reading it to you. Okay, so you can just listen to us read it to you every Thursday at 7 p.m. We have a bunch of volunteers. Everybody reads a piece of a chapter. I read one, a few months ago. We had our last reading last night. We're on chapter 31. There's about 40 chapters. But in that report that the task force released that we're reading, the different chapters are broken down into different areas. One of the areas is business. So there's a chapter on slavery. There's a chapter on housing. There's a chapter on education. There's a chapter on business. A chapter on other things too. So in the business chapter, the state task force recommended some things that the state could do to help support our businesses. Some of them you just talked about, but the big one, I think, was to actually fund and finance businesses directly. So a lot of times in the business world, and I've been a part of this, and I probably will continue to be a part of this too, we do a lot of training and technical assistance about the how to. And then there's less though work on actually giving us the money,
Yes.
right, to do the things that we learn how to do. And so the state task force recommended that businesses actually be funded through a program
Yeah.
to fund the businesses directly. And so that's an example of what Sacramento could do.
Yes.
Sacramento could create a program to fund businesses directly, and also to create that to support that wraparound technical assistance
Yes.
too.
Resources.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We need resources because for me, I had to figure out everything from scratch because we don't have no generational wealth to learn from or our family business to learn from. We don't have credit. You see what I mean?
Right.
So that hurdle can put us way back. That's why I think when you look at the statistics, it's all about the number for me. So when you see the number, it's only less than 3% of us in the whole state, Black businesses. That should be at least 20-30%.
Should be way higher, right?
Way higher. Yes. Then you can feed your community, and you can hire your community. You can create middle class, upper class job for your community. The same thing, nonprofits. They need to be funded, like so they can actually take care of those kids who don't have parents, like me or you and other parents who take care. Not everybody has that. So we want that the same thing for other kids. So how do we create a program like that specifically to help the kids? Not just, they can give us money all day, every day, tomorrow. That if we don't have a structure or a program that, like you were saying, our own community leaders to implement specific needs.
Yeah, we need, in my opinion, we need both.
Yes.
Because I think we focused a lot, as I was saying, up until now on the education and the training, which is important. But I can know everything I want to know about business. I can know everything there needs to know about how to run a business. But if I don't have the money to start the business,
yes,
the kind of credit that I need to get additional financing,
yes,
the money to open and then to be open and potentially need some time to build up my sales, but still be open, which is a lot, right?
Yes.
So that to me is the most important part of it.
Yes.
And that is something that, again, the state task force recommended. The city, if and when we do create our own city task force, by the way, www.sacrepsurvey.com.
Yes.
All right, go take that survey right now, because that is part of the way Sacramento is asking us whether or not we would create a similar type of effort here.
Yes.
Whether it be something that includes the kind of business support that we're talking about. I'm a big supporter of putting money directly into the hands of people who are eligible.
Yes.
I think that is the best way to do this. I want the other things too.
Absolutely.
I want all the other pieces too.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be a big focus on directly empowering our people financially. I think when our people are directly empowered financially with direct payments into their specific hands, first of all, you as somebody watching right now, the best way to spend your money. You know how to spend your money better than I know how to spend your money. So I can't spend your money for you better than you can spend it for yourself. And we see that in our real lives.
Yes.
So that to me is the most important thing, and I think that goes for the business side too. I want programs that directly put money into people's hands and pockets, and directly put money into businesses also. So that way we are also directly empowering people, but also building infrastructure like you're talking about, and structure too, because we want what we do here to be transformational, and long lasting, and generational.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is very important as well, besides business, is education.
Yeah.
So when I say education, not education, you go to school and get educated. That's a general education, but we need training in trade. Let's say, here in the United States, in order to create middle class, upper class job, you got to go to school, finish your college, your degree, blah blah. But what about creating for those young people who are already out there hustling, and create a trading education for them so they can actually get into that middle class, upper class job? What I see is America is bringing from overseas.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of training the youth that
Oh yeah,
right here.
we right here. And I like that you brought up the education piece because it's very connected to the business also, but specifically the trade piece is important and especially connected to the business because, for example, if I go to school, trade school to be a plumber,
Yeah.
well, one, I'm empowered then to start my own plumbing business and become a plumbing contractor. I'm not, I don't know all the specifics about plumbing, but
Yes.
I get to be self-employed. But I can also then work for a company, right? Also, I can either start my own company or work for another company. So it's definitely connected to business. But I also want to keep in mind too that this is something that we learned over the work that we've done over the past few years. So education is a component. um, we have to increase what we call access to education. And access, to me, is another word for money. Okay, because
Fun.
you need money to
Yes.
access.
They
right?
want us to say fun.
Right,
Same
right.
thing.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, like to access education, I got to have access to the money for education. To
Yes.
access housing, I got to have money to access the housing.
That's right.
So access is another word for money. Um, but keep in mind that for us specifically, so we've seen that education is great, but it's not the end answer for us. There has to be all kinds of other pieces too. Because right now we know that there are some very highly educated black folks,
Yes.
black folks with college degrees. Actually, on average,
Yeah.
the average household, the average black household where the head of the household has a college degree has less wealth still
Yeah.
than the average white household where the head of the household didn't even finish high school.
Yes.
So you got black folks with college degrees less wealthy than white folks who dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
So education is going to matter, but it's only one piece of it.
Yes, absolutely. Because the education, because I always say, God said, my people perish from lack of education,
From lack of knowledge,
knowledge and information.
Right.
So that's education,
Sure.
So, but in order to educate our community, what I learned, what you learned,
Right.
we have to do it.
Absolutely.
Ourselves.
Absolutely. The state task force, and this is, again, I'm talking about the state, but these are things that the city could do if and when we create our own city commission, sacrepsurvey.com.
Yes.
So the state task force had a whole chapter on a whole set of recommendations on what we could do in the education space. One of them is what you just talked about funding us to create our own schools.
Yes.
And also funding people who want to homeschool.
Yes.
Also. So funding us to create our own, I think the task force at the state level called it freedom schools or freedman schools. Funding us to create our own schools so we can educate and bring knowledge to our kids in the way that we want to do it.
Yes.
And in a way that's the best too.
And also, for the mothers, that will give them a chance even to send their kids private school. Now they have the money to be able to, if that is important to them.
If that's what you want to do,
you
want to send your kid to a private school, you need to have the money to do that.
Yes.
If you want to send your kid to
homeschool,
if you want to homeschool, you need to have the funds to do that because that's expensive, at least from what I've been told. I'm not.
If
I'm
you
not
want
expert.
quality education, and we need that in our community instead of run down schools they put in our community, honestly.
Now keep in mind too, this is very interesting because the quality of your school is connected to the quality of your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right?
You think it should be the other way around.
Tell me, right? It should be
money.
Right. But your school, the funding for your school come from property taxes in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So if you have higher property,
yes.
you pay higher property taxes, you got better schools.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where you got lower property taxes or there's not a lot of homeowners at all, you get lower quality schools. So it's a very important connection. It's as we see, and everything is connected. The direct payments put in people's pockets is connected to the business. It's connected to the education. It's connected to the housing and the real estate. Everything is connected, and that's important for people to know too. And again, it's just partly part of why Sacramento, through the mayor's office, is asking us here in Sacramento, do we want to pursue something like reparations here that may be able to change and transform each of these things that's connected And of course, as you're sort of circling back to the education piece, and just to finish up on it, so the state task force, as I said, recommended that we be funded to create our own schools and give people the opportunity to either homeschool,
Yes.
and by opportunity, by access, I mean money, or to send their kids to different kind of schools. But the big important thing is that we get the funding directly to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I want to touch about, housing, access to housing, access to health care.
Yeah,
A lot of our elderly, they work 30, 40 years of their life. And
yeah.
then when they retire, they have no health care. They still have to pay to support them. And
Go to
that's
the
what I
Medicare.
see. Yeah. So that would help a lot, especially what has been done to the African American community when it comes to trauma and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I believe that healthcare is so important. Healing our community through. We need that fund too.
yeah. Absolutely. It's not a coincidence that people who are wealthier are usually healthier.
Yeah,
The wealthier you
they
are,
have a choice.
usually the healthier you are.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. And so this is partly why I'm sort of coming back to the same thing here, but I think it's important. Part of why, at the state level, and then of course here in Sacramento, we have an opportunity to create systems, programs, initiatives, benefits, solutions
Yes.
that directly impact in a positive way health. Not just health, as we were talking about the other pieces, but specifically right now, health. And there are a number of different ways that we can do that. Again, the state task force had a whole chapter of just a bunch of recommendations on what
Yes.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento, we would, if we decide that we want
Yes.
our own city task force,
Yes.
we would have the opportunity to design solutions to do the same
Yes.
thing. And again, this is partly why very important that you listen and watch it right now and later take the Sacramento Reparations Surveys, www.sacrepsurvey.com, SACREP survey.com. Take that survey. And also, we got some events going on too. I know we're going to talk about it, but we got events coming up
Yes.
too where you can come to the
Tomorrow.
event
Yes.
and share your thoughts and learn more. And then also take the survey at the event too. We're doing an event tomorrow in Southside at Fawn Square at the Digital Cafe, which
Yes.
is a new, beautiful space in
Yes.
Fawn Square. I had the opportunity to tour the Digital Cafe recently. It's a beautiful new addition. And 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. tomorrow, that's Saturday, March 30th, we will be there doing a Sacramento Reparations Community Meeting. It won't be the last, of course. I know
Yes.
you're doing events. We're doing events. A bunch of groups are doing events too. But this is very, very important. So again, sacrepsurvey.com. Take that survey and come to the event tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Yes, please. Yeah. Also, we're doing a lot of events,
Yeah,
which is outreach event. So you have no excuse not to be signing. It's all over my Facebook. Also, we have a lot of
same.
podcasts on at the Sac State too. We're
Right,
having an event on April 11th. April 11th, you can come and join us as
right.
well and just get involved. All the information is on my website, on my social media, and yours as well.
That's
So
right.
there's no excuse.
No
We
excuse.
really have to get our people, even if you don't agree.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We
Just
we
get
get
involved.
right. We want to hear what you think,
Yes.
whatever you think. All right.
Yes.
I prefer you to think like I think, but whatever you
Yes.
think, we want
Yes.
you to share your thoughts because it's really important that everybody has their thoughts and their ideas heard.
Yes. Yes. That is so so important, honestly, because we gotta get involved, even if we don't trust the system that's not been working for us.
Yeah,
Now, this is a chance for us to create a system that works
absolutely.
for our community.
You
And you've been working so hard on that.
you hit the nail on the head. Thank you. So, and we've had this, and I understand the tension, and I understand the thinking behind folks' questions about can we trust the city to do the right thing? Can we trust the government to do the right thing? I think that's the wrong question to be asking because I think we all know the answer to that question.
Yes.
Right? We all know the answer to that question, but it's not about trust in this case.
Yes.
The big thing that is important right now is not about trust. This
Yes.
is about an opportunity that we have as residents to help design a new system
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
So we have the opportunity right now to design a new system and some solutions to the things that we don't like.
Yes.
And we had this fight too at the state level,
Yes.
because, and I'll give you an example. So at the state level, the State Reparations Task Force was administered by the California Department of Justice's Office of Civil Rights.
Yes.
So the State Reparations Task Force had to work with the California Department of Justice
Yes.
throughout the 2 years of its work.
Yes.
And from the beginning, what we heard was, how can we work with the California Department of Justice on this, when the California Department of Justice is part of the reason why we need reparations in the first place?
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
think about, you know, the
social justice,
right,
and criminal justice.
right. I mean, that's the law enforcement arm
Yes.
of the state, right?
Yes.
Even though it was the Office of Civil Rights, which is the office that's supposed to help
Yes.
with the civil rights stuff,
Yes.
that was a very, very real and present thing that we had to work through. And just to be real with folks, we had to work through and work at it every day.
Yes.
Because yes, it's right that the part of the government is also responsible for why we need reparations.
Yes.
But it's also the case that part of the government is also responsible for fixing the things that it broke too.
Yes.
So the government is responsible for fixing the things that it broke also. And so part of what we're doing is telling the government, again, through the survey,
Yeah.
and through what we do after, what it needs to do to fix
it.
what it broke.
Yes. And we can only
Right.
fix it. They can't. They try. You know what I mean?
we will fix
Yes.
it, but we will fix it, and the government will fix what it broke also.
Yes.
But they won't fix it without us.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
they
Yeah.
can't fix it, and I think that's clear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what we have now. It's a government
Yeah.
trying to fix stuff without
That's
us.
how I feel a lot of time, the disconnect
Yeah.
to the people that they trying to serve our Black community, but there's a huge disconnect. So we're saying we need a community leader that can be that bridge
I think that's right.
to really serve the community they say that they serving. But
That's
I
right.
don't see it.
So-
Our community still.
I think I see it here and there. What I do think though is that this is an opportunity, I think, to do something new and different here. And keep in mind, think about what we're doing now. So the mayor's office and the city council and folks like that, they could create a reparations plan for us and then tell us what it is.
Yeah.
We've seen other cities, not so much in California, but other cities outside of the country do that.
Yeah.
We don't want that. I think we want to be the ones that drive what the city does and tells the
Yes.
city what we want. And part of what this surveying effort is right now, this public input effort is right now, again at sacrepsurvey.com,
Yeah.
part of what this is about, part of what the city is asking us is, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want, Sacramento residents? Do you want a reparations commission? Do you want reparations?
Yeah.
And if so, what do you want? And that is, I think, somewhat of a break in
Yeah.
the way that we've been doing things, because in the past is, here's what we are going to give you. What
Yeah.
do you think about it?
Yeah.
And
And you
sometimes,
like it or not,
even
that's
if
it.
you don't like it,
Yeah.
we still going to give it to you anyway,
Yeah.
or take it away.
Yeah, but the thing I think, like you were saying, that's true, because it's like any doctor. If I don't diagnose what you need, if I can just subscribe, this
Right.
is what you need,
Right.
that's what is happening.
Right. And if you don't go to the doctor and say, my
Yeah.
arm hurt,
Yeah,
I want my pain in my arm away. I don't want,
Yes.
right? Or my leg is hurt.
Yes.
You have to go and tell them, okay, this is what I want fixed.
yes,
Right? And so this is, before it was what you said, it was, I'm going to write you a prescription for something
Yes.
that you didn't almost didn't even ask for and don't want sometimes.
yeah,
But now now the city is saying, okay, excuse me, and let me be clear, it's the mayor's office that's saying, okay,
yes,
tell us what you want.
yes,
And do you want this?
yes,
And if you don't want it, we won't do it.
yeah,
If you do want it, then we are going to do it, but you're going to lead it.
yes, yes. I think, and then we can find the solution
Right.
to our problem now. So I think which is the other thing also, like I was talking about, land. You know, some people want to own their own land. They want to grow food because right now, for me, if it was me, I'd say land. You know, if I was African American, because I want to grow my food.
For sure.
Do you see what I mean? For my restaurant. So everybody
I want some land
has.
too. I want land too. You know.
But it's supposed to
property.
be for the 40. You know, tell us about the 40-acre
40
in the
acres in the
mule.
mule, yeah.
Yeah. What happened to
Oh
that?
man, well, as some of you know, our community was promised
Yes.
40 acres and a
Yes.
mule after
Yes.
the end of the Civil War, and you know we did not receive that. And well, let me be 100% accurate.
It's 3.3 acre. It's still big.
That is a huge.
Yeah.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
So think about 40 acres.
Yeah.
You could fit hundreds of homes.
Yes.
I mean, you can fit hundreds of homes
Yes.
on 40 acres.
Yes.
So think about where we would have been as a people.
Yes.
And also keep in mind that when the land was taken from us, it was given to other people.
Yes.
So those other people then started to create businesses, started to create opportunities, started to create generational wealth with that land, and then pass that generational wealth on. And that those gains and those profits and what they got from that is still in the system now. It's still in the system now. It's just that we don't see any of the benefits of it. But part of what we could do here in Sacramento is find properties that either the city owns or the county owns, and either which is a lot. I mean, there's some by where I live in Midtown that's just been sitting there for years, just been sitting there, big properties just sitting there. Um, that property can be turned over to people who are eligible for reparations.
Yes.
So that's one thing that the city could do, but there's a bunch of other things too.
Yeah, a lot of spaces, especially for the youth. You know, right now I have to use my patio, which they even took that away from the youth.
Wow.
But where are the youth are gonna go for their art and culture and music? There's no platform for our youth, and then they wonder why they're going out there and do what they gotta do.
Right.
And now, oh, it's a community violence. Oh, we can't help. So we gotta take that in our hands. If they give us the fund, help create a platform for them where they can thrive on.
right.
And they took from school. They took the music and the the art
Yeah,
and the home economics and all that. We was our kids were supposed to learn, but that's why that education. We can create our own school. African
sure.
American can go and create their own school accordingly what their kids needs and
Of
wants,
course,
and their talent and their skill
of course, of
and
course,
ownership.
of course.
They can own that too.
And you need a lot of times you need property and land and space
Yes.
to do the things that you want to do. And, not to mention business and
Mm-hmm.
and I do want to highlight the young folks here too. And I want to shout out all of the young folks that supported the state reparations task force work. Young folks, from the young folks to the college students, to the folks who used to be young,
Yes.
which is most of us. So I want to shout out everybody, and I want to thank you for highlighting the youth, because that is a very big important piece of what we could potentially focus on through this local reparations effort. This is an opportunity to also do new things and better things for our young people.
Yes.
So again, www.sacrepsurvey.com, www.sacrepsurvey.com. Take that survey, and of course,
Yes.
as we said, tomorrow, Saturday, March 30th, there is an event, a Sacramento Reparations Community Meeting event, South Sac.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Saturday, March
Please
30th,
join us.
1:30 p.m., 3:30 p.m. And also, I know you mentioned the April 11th, but that's at Sac State.
Sac State.
Sac State, April 11th.
Yeah, collaborating with the Africa House Professor Uwazi.
Big shout out to Professor Uwazi.
He's the criminal justice professor.
Yes.
So we need
Dr.
to talk
Uwazi.
about that. Look at the criminal justice in our community. That's another beast.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, to put our young kids into that pipeline.
Yeah.
How do we really cut that pipeline?
So there's a lot that we can do, and this is an effort. This effort gives us opportunity to do some new things. And for those of you, some of you may know, so I also, so I'm the lead organizer for the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, as we just said earlier. But I'm also community organizer and policy manager for the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, ARC, which is a statewide organization whose mission is to end mass incarceration.
Yes.
And we have a program in every single prison in this state. We are in every single prison, pretty much every single day. We're in almost all of the juvenile halls that we have, almost all the juvenile halls in Sacramento and in the LA area specifically. Yesterday, I was part of a training for some folks who were formerly incarcerated, people who did 40 years in prison, 50 years in prison, 30 years in prison, who went to prison in the 1970s and who came home, last year.
Yeah.
1990 prison, went to prison before I was born in many cases too, who are coming home to almost nothing.
Yeah.
To almost nothing. For those of y'all who know, if you do know, if when you're released from prison at the state level, you get something called gate money. Gate money. It's $200, and that's it. See you. Okay? And depending on where you are, if you're on parole, depending on where you are paroled, there could be housing, there could not be housing. In many ways, you are on your own. In many ways, so there's a lot that we could do. We could, create a system, create some solution that, if you are formerly incarcerated, if you just come home, you get, a certain kind of compensation to help you be able to get on your feet faster.
Yeah.
Or
a stepping stone
something
for them to get into the society.
I don't know if I share this with you, but as I mentioned, we in the juvenile halls pretty much on a weekly basis, regular basis, definitely here in Sacramento and in LA. Just a few weeks ago, we brought some of the young people from the juvenile hall to our office because they were released homeless. They had nowhere to go.
Wow.
And it just so happened that some of our staff was in the juvenile halls doing a program, and they were walking out, and they were walking through the lobby, and they seen some of the young folks there just with their heads down, and they said, "Well, what's the matter?" And they said, "Well, we don't have nowhere to go. We don't have nowhere to go." This is like 21-year-old, 20-year-old kids, and so we brought them back to our office, fed them, gave them some food, and started to connect them with services, housing, etc. And those kids are doing better. But that's what's happening every single day. We see that happening every single day. And so again, this Sacramento reparations effort could help
Yeah,
fix that.
yeah, absolutely. Because it's so important for this. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all, once upon a time, we were
I know,
young,
man.
but some of us make, harder mistake than others.
Right.
But at the same time, when these kids are harshly punished for you know what I mean, for the mistake, like we've never been young ourselves, and then when they come out, they don't have,
Exactly.
my daughter, I was doing the same, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
but she had a parent to come to. You
Let
see
me
what I
let
mean?
me let me tell you a little bit. Let me tell you one story about one of my colleagues actually, who I work with. He works in the LA office. 21-year-old, 22-year-old. He's home now. He was arrested and convicted at I think 16, 17 years old. He was sentenced to 127 years at 17 years old. The judge sentenced him to 127 years at 17 years old. One of my other colleagues, one of my former colleagues, who works at the Capitol now, he was sentenced to 200 years at 16, 17 years old. Okay?
Yeah,
That's a death sentence.
yeah,
Now, because we worked to change the laws,
yeah,
they were able to come home early,
yeah.
way early.
Wow.
um, but that's the kind of thing that we had to fix. And so
Yes.
this is important for the reparations piece too, because we do need some policy changes also. So you should not be able
Yeah,
to sentence a 17-year-old kid to 200 years in
yeah,
prison. Uh, there has to be a different, better
yeah,
system. And these are people that I talk to on a regular basis who are home now, who are now going back into the juvenile halls themselves
yeah,
to help other kids. So
yeah,
imagine what we would have lost
yeah.
if we would have not changed those policies. So again,
Yeah.
sacrepsurvey.com,
Come on,
take the survey.
do
We,
it.
we 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 have an opportunity here to make some real systems change here through a number of different ways.
Yeah, like you were saying, for these kids, if there's no fund, you know how America is.
This is
I
it.
lived in England where
Okay,
the
all right.
legal system, like you don't pay. You rich or poor, it's the same.
Wow.
Do you see
Must
what
be
I mean?
nice. Must be nice.
Because it's a human life you're
Right.
playing with money now.
Right.
That's what I see here. I'm coming here that all my, my African American community, the kids in
Right.
jail,
Right.
not, I mean, they did something wrong, but it's not, they're still young. Didn't have that
Of
support.
course.
They didn't
Of
have
course
the money or the fund to get them out because they have nobody defending them.
not. Right.
How is that fair?
It's not fair at all. It's not fair at all. And again, we have the opportunity here to design some real solutions to this.
Yeah,
And I don't want, and we will not pass or miss this opportunity as a people and as a city. We are going to take this opportunity, and where we are right now is, as mentioned, making sure that everybody listening, everybody watching,
yeah,
is participating by taking the survey and by coming to the community events,
yeah,
and also sharing what we're saying here and sharing the survey with
absolutely.
the people in your lives that you know and that you love.
Yeah, and we focusing on Sacramento.
Right.
We can't be saving the whole world. But right now,
City
what
of
we can
Sacramento.
do is just focus on our community, our African American community. How do we better our community? This
Right.
is where we live. I'm from Africa, but you're from New York, but this is
Right.
still where we live
Where we at?
and where we are. This is where our business, our kids, our family, our friends,
Yeah.
everybody's here. So when African American community thrive, Queen Sheba thrive.
Of course.
Shiva's Cafe
Of
thrive.
course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Everything I do would thrive.
Of
And
course.
instead of only having other communities support me who has the money or
Right.
the fund, now I have
Of course.
my own people supporting me
And this
for
is
everything.
that's a very important part. I'm glad you said that because the effort, of course, at the state level, really is focused on. And you use the phrase African American, which I think is absolutely, a good way to start to talk about this group. And what we're talking about specifically are people who are descendants of people who were
Yeah.
enslaved in this country.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of ways to describe this group. Some people use African Americans. Some people use African American descendants of persons who were enslaved in the United States. Some people use American freedmen. Some people use Foundation of Black Americans. Some people use American descendants of slavery. We're talking about the same group of people.
Yes.
Specifically, those of us whose ancestors
who's been affected for generations.
Right, whose ancestors did not come here voluntarily, but were bought, kidnapped, and sold, and human trafficked here. One thing that you said that's really important is that when our community does well, everybody else does well too. And so this is an effort to help our community do well. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And every community needs to be rallying around that, because this is Sacramento. Still, this is our community, regardless. You know, we are, whether we are Black or Asian or white, this is where we live in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And we have to support each other regardless, in each other's community, regardless, for whatever we need. So right now, that's what we're asking everybody to support, not just African American, everybody who's in here, to support that. Don't put it like a negative thing there. No, this is actually a positive thing.
Very positive.
That the mayor's office initiated.
Yeah.
If we get it right, I think it would be an amazing thing. Not only for Sacramento, it would be a model for everywhere else in the United States.
Yeah. I think
so. We're ready to work. We're ready to educate people. If you have, we have the perfect guy here who's been fighting, Chris. Honestly, we've been talking about this. I remember when we're talking about reparation and equity. I remember, a while ago. Yeah, and I was just wondering, you educated me yourself, like, why are we not asking for our Black community, fund?
Yeah.
You told me we can't even say that. There is a law that put in place. The only way we can do, he said, is through reparation.
Yeah, so
and repair our community that way.
Right. And let me make that clear for folks too. So in California, across the country too, we're not allowed legally to create programs, benefits, systems specifically for one race of people. So it is technically, so let me give it an example. If I tried to write a law that said, I want to give all white people and white people only money for their businesses, obviously that sounds very bad, right? It sounds like, why would it only for white people, right? Similarly, I can also not write a law. I can't write a law that says I'm going to give only Black people money for their businesses. The first one is against the law. The second one is against the law too, and that goes for everybody. And that's in our state constitution. It's in our federal laws all that stuff. So that's why you don't see this law specifically for AAPI, this law specifically for this, et cetera, when we're talking about actually giving out money and programs and benefits. Some laws and some bills are motivated by certain things that happen to certain groups. I think you mentioned earlier the Asian hate crime bill. That was motivated by some very bad things that were happening to the Asian and AAPI community. Of course, things that we've been experiencing for hundreds of years here as our people, and we're still the group that's the target the most. Still have the highest rates of hate crimes committed against us right now to this day. That's us. But for that particular group, there was a lot going on, and so there were some politicians who said, "Hey, I want to do something to stop this," and so they wrote a bill and wrote laws that were motivated by hate crimes against the API people. But if you actually read the bill and actually read the law, what it did was it gave money. Some of the laws gave money to law enforcement so that they could start tracking hate crimes. So the money so parts of the bill would put money like the law enforcement hands, and then other parts of the bill gave money to community groups that serve the AAPI community, not exclusively, but that serve the AAPI community. So that's what happened with that bill. In our case, though, what we're talking about is reparations, which is a little bit different. And in the reparations work, we're specifically talking about people who are descendants of people who were enslaved and then emancipated from chattel slavery in this country. Now, 99 something, most of those people probably self-identify as Black or African American. Some of them probably identify as biracial. Some of them probably identify as other ways too. So it's not specifically connected to your skin color.
Yeah.
It's not exclusively connected to your skin color, even though most of us are. But this is, and we've said that this is a way to do what we want to do without violating any laws, without breaking any laws. So.
Yes. With the line of
right.
the law and the regulation.
Right.
Like I was saying, that I think why this works specifically, like everybody got paid one way or another.
Come on. Right.
So it's, actually the only people who never ask nothing is Black people.
Come on. So I think you said it, you made a great point. A lot of other groups got reparations already. So Japanese Americans who were interned, so not every Japanese American, but Japanese Americans who were interned,
affected,
right, got reparations
Vietnam.
in the 1980s. Our indigenous brothers and sisters get some kind of reparations depending on who it is. Of course, the most known example is the Jewish people who suffered in the Holocaust, who received reparations. California, ourselves, or people who were the survivors of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, got reparations. Here in California, we paid reparations just very recently in the past few years to victims of forced sterilization. California, for those of you who don't know, had a forced sterilization program. We were forcibly and involuntarily and sometimes unknowingly sterilizing women in prisons, and which is a horrible program. It lasted through the 1980s and probably after that too. And so in 2021, the state passed a bill and signed a law to do reparations for these people, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
So we've done this before. Reparations is not new. It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
It's just new for us.
Yeah, and we just got to make it work.
Right.
With the system,
right.
In a way, and create a system that works for our community.
Right. Create our own system.
Rocket scientist. Right. It's common sense, and it's about time.
About
time. But people, please, our people especially, get involved. Even if you don't agree, or you agree, you don't agree, just put your what you think,
ideas,
and
take the survey.
The survey is very clear.
Right. Take the survey.
Basically, ask you if you're from here, if you are a descendant of the slave from African American, and what you think of reparation for you, for your family, for your community, for your friend, and just put your, because it's so important. Otherwise, how are they gonna know? Even to diagnose the problem and find the solution. And we're here, and I'm, with whatever time I have and knowledge I have, and I'll reach out to you if I don't know, all the answers. It's okay. We know what we know. We know what we don't know.
That's what we're here for. That's part of why I'm here to.
Yes.
To be a resource to share any education and knowledge that I have. If there are any questions, of course, too, about anything that we talked about today, or maybe have questions about something that we didn't talk about, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to share my contact information. Of course, you can always contact us on Instagram, for those who are watching on Instagram right now, at CJEC Official, but CJECofficial@gmail.com. You can send us an email. Some of y'all know me from Sack Black Biz also, so if you're a Sack Black Biz, follow on IG. You can send me a DM there too, and I'll still talk to you about this. But also, make sure you come into the events that we have too.
Yes.
Saturday, March 30th, we're also doing an event on April 6th, also in Oak Park at Old Soul. April 11th, we got some stuff coming up in late April too. I can't give up details yet, we're still working on them. But this will be in North Sac. Shout out to the family in North Sac. I know we haven't been in North Sac as much as I want to be, so we're coming up to North Sac. We're going to spend a lot of time up there. We're going to have at least 2 events up in North Sac for sure. But get involved, take the survey, sacrepsurvey.com. Come to the events again tomorrow, Saturday, March 30th, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Yes.
Florence Square Digital Cafe.
And just a little bit, It's not just me and Chris. We have other team as well.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure,
So
yeah.
they will be there to answer. You know, we have Dr. Christie involved too.
Big shout out to the Sacramento Sister Circle.
Yeah.
Love what they do. I've been a fan from afar for many years. I love what they do. Keep on doing the great work.
Yes.
Let me know if anything that I can support you.
Yes, yes. Just make sure you just follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll be talking about it until mid-May.
Mid-May, and maybe after that too.
Yes.
And you know, this is, I'm gonna say this now. This is my life's work now.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna be done until we actually got reparations.
Yes.
And then I may be doing a little bit after that too.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I may.
You're determined.
Yeah. After the reparations, I may go.
Discipline.
I may go. You know, I may go travel the world. I don't know. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. But we're gonna get reparations, and that's the mission right now.
And we really, really, honestly appreciate your work.
Oh,
I mean, if you didn't initiate this and fight for it every day and do every day, be there. I mean, we need that type of dedication.
I appreciate you.
We'll see that results if you didn't dedicate your time. I have seen you ever since you got here. You never stop. You were just going on and going on and on and on, and that's. You see, eventually we see something results when we do the work.
Something happens.
And it's gonna happen. And I have a good feeling about it. Not only the city level, which is good.
Yep.
The state level. Eventually, the federal level.
Eventually, the feds gonna see what we're doing and say, you know, we need to do something too. So and thank you for recognizing that. I'm trying to get better at receiving compliments. So that's my weakness. I'm just gonna say thank you, and I'm also gonna thank everybody else that helped with this too. There's a lot of good people doing a lot of great work. I also want to thank you for being so active and so involved. Also, I think it's important to show that we have people who maybe definitely black, but maybe not be the descendants of people who are enslaved in this country, but who also support this and who are going to fight for this too, and fight for this for us, because you know that you're going to benefit when we benefit. So thank you for that.
Yeah, every community honestly benefits when African American thrive, because look, when African American gets money, where is it going to be spending? Right here. We're going to be
spending it with our own people.
In the United States too.
With our own right here in Sacramento. So
it's good for the economy.
There's a story right now, by the way. I'm gonna make this quick. Bloomberg News has a story out right now. It came out yesterday. 21 ways in which reparations will boost the economy.
Absolutely.
Go Google that article right now from Bloomberg News. All right.
Yeah.
Very big news media. All right.
I believe it too.
21 ways they have 21 ways that they go education. They're gonna do this. So this would be so good for us.
Yes. So. Yeah, for everybody, not just for black people. Honestly, I really believe that from my heart, because this is when most of us are immigrant. The only people who are not immigrant is the indigenous and the African Americans.
That's right.
We all come in here for some opportunity, for education opportunity, for job opportunity, escaping from our own, whatever we had.
Right.
So when we come here, people don't realize our black people, African American, paid for this. For me to come in here, even open my restaurant, open my Shiva's Cafe, my African American paid for it for 400 years. So for me, for the people to benefit, why I have a problem?
Come on.
This is what I mean? So every community, not just only black people, everybody's coming in here benefiting, not anywhere else.
Right.
Only in America, every immigrant. We have the highest immigrant in the world, in the United States. Right. So who do you think, benefiting that?
This is I couldn't have said it no better than that.
Yeah. So for us to have a problem that African American benefiting, no. We want African American benefiting, so we all benefit.
Right.
That's what I believe. So I will fight for African American kids. My kids are gonna be eventually, part of that benefit.
Right.
part of that. They will be marrying African American. You see what I mean?
Hopefully, right on, right on,
Yeah.
right on.
So when we're raising our kids here, we are one nation in a way.
Right on.
But if one community is not benefiting, but we all benefiting of that community that paid for, it's unfair.
Unfair
Yeah.
and
And we're gonna
well
fight for
said.
that reparation, especially at the city level.
Right on. Right here in
I'm
Sacramento.
100% there for it.
Same here.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That was very well said. Very well said.
Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, we
My pleasure.
appreciate you and keep
Anytime.
up the good work. And I'm gonna bring you every time, whatever chance I get, so we can really education.
The more the better.
Education is very important.
Excuse me.
And we're here. So
Yeah.
please reach out to us and connect us and whatever we have to do.
I'm looking at the battle. I love that. But I love this. Is a great venue, by the way, y'all. It's a beautiful venue.
Thank you.
Can't wait till it opens up.
Yes, yes, yes. And tomorrow we're gonna have Adi book signing.
Big shout out to Dr.
She's
Abby
gonna-
Ellis.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
gonna talk about the Black experience, really, here.
Dr. Ellis.
I mean, she's an amazing woman. We need to support our women, especially our Black women. You know, that's another my heart too. Is like supporting our women
Absolutely.
and small businesses, and we struggle, so we need some help. Yeah. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate you, dear.
Pleasure
And
all
keep
mine.
up the good work. And
Will
I'm
do.
gonna see you
See
tomorrow.
you tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and make sure you guys go
Appreciate
and
you,
get
brother.
involved. We're just doing what we can.
That's right.
Yes.
Come on. Take that survey and then give it to somebody and tell them to take it to. Make everybody in your house take that survey. Everybody.
Yes.
All the kids. Make the kids take it. Grandma, grandpa, take the survey. All right?
Everybody.
Husband, wife,
Yes.
cousin, brother,
Yes.
sister.
Yes. 5 minutes of your time is not that much. That's all you gotta sacrifice.
Right.
Get involved. Remember when we go to City Hall every time me and you fighting for this equity, for this,
I
that?
know.
Get involved
Yeah.
and vote too. I mean, people need to get involved in the city level. They need to go out and vote for their mayor, vote for the city council members.
We need to be as involved and active as possible. We have elections coming up this year, as y'all know.
Yes.
I can't tell you how important it is to use reparations as something that you will be voting on.
Yes.
So make sure people who want your vote,
Yeah.
anybody asking for your vote, what's your position on reparations? Do you support it?
Yes.
If you do, okay, I can support you. If you don't, maybe not.
Yes.
That's the approach
Yeah.
that I take.
Absolutely. Actually, the two runners right now for the mayor, both Dr. Flo
Dr. Flo,
and
Dr. Flo.
Kevin McCarty. He's the legislator,
McCarty,
so
yeah.
he's on the caucus, the Black caucus.
That's right, he is.
But we have Dr. Flo
Yeah,
too.
Dr. Flo, that's
So
right.
he's,
That's right. That's right.
So we have
Two candidates right now who
yes, who can
um,
push this through.
right, and,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be very important that we stand on, as the young folks say, stand on business.
Yes.
Stand on business right now.
And make sure you
stand on
vote too.
reparations.
Get out and vote.
Yep.
The city and the mayor important. I always tell people the president, okay, but the city people that we put in the city council members, who the
So
one who's going
important.
to make a difference into our day-to-day life.
More important than anything else, if you ask me.
Yeah. All right, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow as well. I'm going to be doing the same interviewing Dr. Adi, so look forward to that too. So just keep on supporting, keep on being there. Let's unite as a community here in Sacramento, make a difference. That's all.
That's right.
Yes, that's what we're here for. Thank you. This is Zion Utopia Media, where we're bringing all the community voice. Yes, thank you.
Great work. I love it.
Yes.
Good work, y'all. Appreciate the shout out to the production team too. I always got some love to the production team. I always got some love to the production team in the background. I know you work hard back there. I know the game.
Yeah.
Thank you for real. Appreciate y'all. You did an amazing job too. Shout out to the whole ID family too.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I'm gonna grab one of these from me real quick.